How do introverts survive mandatory work functions or events?
My job often requires attendance to team building, conferences, which means lots of people, forced conversations, and deep existential awkwardness. How do y'all deal with it?
I've quit every job in the past that even remotely violated my boundaries, wasted my weekends, nights or lunchtime on mandatory team building and marketing events. I'm much happier working for a small local company that isn't trying to take over the state or go nationwide. Don't turn up, or turn up at the beginning. Talk to whoever's in charge. Disappear for the rest of the function.
I find a new job. Nothing is mandatory. I decide if something is necessary in my life and not my employer.
Even though at my company they are rarely mandatory, I do visit most of them. I play the corporate game. They are just a bunch of NPCs I need to interact with to get raises, promotions, influence, and interesting projects. So far I'm winning it. I hope it doesn't end with an epic boss fight but with a peaceful early retirement.
Ask people questions about themselves. What do you do for fun? Will keep you from having to say anything other than wow or really for 30 minutes. Rinse, repeat. Most people love to talk about themselves. Eek. Am in a similar spot. It's hard to engage. Suffering. So much suffering. Reminds me of a place I worked at a few years ago. Hey, we're having a thing after work. Sign up if you're going. Me, not going, didn't sign up. Boss noticed I didn't sign up. I suspect the admin ratted me out. I noticed you didn't sign up. This is your chance to meet Alice, Bob, and Charlie. They'll be here all week. I can meet them during business hours. You should go to this thing. I don't want to. Is it mandatory? I want you to go. Okay. If you say I have to go, I'll go. I went. I didn't enjoy it. It was a waste of my time. Next day at work, the boss pulls me aside and says, "You shouldn't have gone if you didn't want to be there." Oh, really?
Just do it. Keep in mind that 1, it will help your career, and 2, it will be over soon.
A lot of quietly staring and carefully picked words that don't prompt response.
Anxiety and resist the urge to both cry and run away while you fake smile and pretend you enjoy the moment.
I try to skip every third one. Something that really helps me is having a job to do for the event. Even if it's really menial, like making the coffee or collecting, passing out materials, letting speakers know they're next up or when they should give their speech or something. Better is running the PowerPoint or music. The more involved I am with running the event, the better time I'll have.
Just go into professional mode, do the thing like the job it is, and treat yourself for surviving it after it's all over. First sit with colleagues I like, then a few times of looking for a nice, less noisy corner for deep talks with 1 or 2 nice people, enjoy food and drinks, and leave at the first or second chance. It's kind of fun, and we always have a nice hotel where I can relax after a fun night before sleeping late. Which is bliss. It's really nice if you just cherry pick.
Fake illness. Never been to that kind of bullshit.
When it's required, I do it. I do what is required but nothing more. I also treat myself to ice cream and an AA meeting.
I just have to dive right in. If there is something that requires a wealth of information, I study a lot beforehand so I'm not in some awkward silence. But sometimes I don't end up memorizing it and it gets awkward for me. No getting around it.
Knowing the pain will soon be over, my pillow is waiting, and that I will later reward my exhausted little self with an extra few hours in bed. I like to learn and take on challenges. So I learn to appreciate it and take it as a challenge learning experience.
Masking. I used to work for a large multinational corporation, big on hustle culture. We always had extra crap to do outside of work, and the job itself was customer-facing. I got really good at the customer service face voice. I was always completely drained by the time I got home after basically acting all day. But pretending to be a completely different person allowed me to get through it.
Book a day off or pull a sickie.
I've leaned into my weirdness. They get more than they bargained for. Oddly, some people end up enjoying it and it's somehow made my job more enjoyable. Don't emulate this, I got incredibly lucky.
Some shit you just gotta do. But it does help if you actually like the people. Nicotine, and finding the other person that hates it and trauma dump on each other.
If it's mandatory, then it should be paid. If not, don't show up. One doesn't simply survive. Taking a step back and out of the fire can work wonders.
I'm actually okay at these. I can put on superficial, very friendly conversation with pretty much anyone, all day. I'm great in customer service roles. I hate these awkward team-building bullshit things, but I can hang. But I go home and need solitude and silence, and will mostly get people talking about themselves to take the focus off me, if that makes sense. I just don't want to explain anything personal ever, and I may or may not Irish goodbye. Find a new job that doesn't do this BS.
We had one recently. I caught COVID at it. I think I'll be sick just before them from now on. I chose to work third shift to avoid such nonsense.
For me, I have certain coworkers that I will gravitate towards, who understand me. Beyond that, I simply go silent. Fun anecdote. At a previous job years ago, I'd gotten 34 of my coworkers convinced that I was mute. I'd nod or give a half wave while wearing my obvious headphones, big OL cans, not those annoying earbuds, until I was able to clock in, then head to my area. Lube tech for a certain national chain. Once in the shop, with coworkers who I got along with, I was a different person, but to the coworkers who I only saw in passing. Nope, nothing. For safety, we weren't allowed to have only one person in the shop. If I was closing solo, they'd have another person come to just be present in case of mechanical failure or what have you. One night, there's a very nosy person assigned to keep me company. They come in and ask what I need done, so I told her to grab a broom and start sweeping. No joke, she looked at me in shock and said, "You speak?" To which I replied, "Yes, and I'm busy. Please sweep," and walked away. Being silent has probably saved me more often than not. My grandfather used to tell me when I was young, it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool, than to open your mouth and remove any doubt. May have been his way of calling me a dumbass, but I use it to my advantage. I've blown many people's minds when I do offer insight on something I'm versed in. Makes me laugh to see the shock.
Turn up. Speak briefly to your boss and anyone else you know and are comfortable with. Leave. Transition from salaried to hourly, and suddenly the extracurriculars are significantly less mandatory. If they aren't willing to pay for your time, how important can it be? In rapid succession, I have 2 personal trips and 3 work trips in May-June. I got back from the personal trip on Wednesday and I'm leaving for the first work trip literally now. I'm on the plane. The time surrounding those trips is empty. I ain't doing shit. I am staying at home, playing video games. My best friend has been forewarned that she is more than welcome to come over and hang out any evening once a week, but I will probably not be going anywhere or doing anything. It's summer, so depending on how I feel, I might wander out for a farmer's market or an outdoor craft fair, or a morning of garage sailing. Other than that, no. If I don't want to go, I tell my boss I don't want to go, and then I don't go. It's that simple.
I just have to tell myself to just do what I can. It's only temporary. My previous job had to do the white elephant game and my heart was pounding. Turn the brain off, go on autopilot.
I keep telling myself, I would die if I don't this, I would die if I don't do this. Every time works.
Suck it up and just dive into the deep end of the social pool. Tread water for a respectable period of time, then quietly slip away at the first opportune moment. Find the other 2 office introvert and stick together and complain.
Team building conferences? These happen outside of work? I've been to plenty of work parties and alcohol helps.
Avoid it if you can. It's the only way. Book a medical APPT at the same time as the event. Caffeine and nicotine.
Have excuse for short attendance ready. Show face, ensure you are seen. I love free food and drink, personally, so I just comfort eat. P. If someone sees you eating or drinking, they don't expect you to speak much scrumptious life hack.
I am retired now, but I had a WorkMe. WorkMe was in charge of hundreds of people at a time through line managers usually, but also one-on-one with HR and discipline matters. WorkMe could perform hour-long presentations to crowds of hundreds without breaking a sweat. WorkMe could appear on TV and other media with no issues at all. HomeMe retired me would do none of those things. Separating work and personal helped me immensely.